Hello, everyone, and welcome to another great episode of the Gridiron Glory here with Tad and Will. We bring you quality content featuring all 32 NFL teams, and today we have a Week 10 NFL recap with the Buffalo Bills going into Indianapolis and defeating the Colts 30-20. The Bills they improved to 8-2 and continue to run away with the AFC East. Well, the Colts fall to 4-6. For Buffalo, Josh Allen had an interesting game, 22 of 37, 280 yards, no passing touchdowns, two interceptions, though he did have 8 carries for 50 yards and a rushing touchdown. So, a very interesting game, like I said, for Allen. You don't like to see the turnovers, but you do like to see what he can do on the ground, and he still found a way to make big plays to his receivers, a big 44-yard pass to Mac Hollins, a big 34-yard pass to Dawson Knox, getting Khalil Shakir involved as well. So they did what they could. James Cook had a nice game, 19 carries for 80 yards and a touchdown, also one catch for 5 yards. Where would you rank James Cook among running backs in the entire NFL?
Tad, it's hard not to rank James Cook in the top 10.
Yeah, a very interesting take there. James Cook, he's definitely a quality runner, definitely a top half running back. Yeah, he can do his thing, and he can sometimes be, I'll say, sneakily good on occasion. Had a decent game today. So that's nice to see. Looking at the Bills defense, an up and down game. They did force the 3 interceptions from Joe Flacco, and they also forced a fumble against Flacco. So you get the 4 turnovers. You do give up the 20 points. So some give and take there. It looks like it was a big game on defense for Bernard. 9 tackles, 1 pass deflection. So that's nice to see. Dorian Williams had a decent game with his 6 solo tackles, 1 tackle for loss. And when you look at a linebacker like Dorian Williams, the second-year player from Tulane, where would you rank Dorian Williams among linebackers in the AFC?
I mean, he's definitely a top. It's hard not to rank him a top half linebacker, Tad. Just with, I mean, he's so far in his very young career, just things that he's been able to do, proving himself to be a leader on that Colts defense.
Yes. For the Bills.
I'm sorry for the Bills. I misspoke.
Absolutely, yeah. A big play also for Teron Johnson. For Buffalo, he had a big day with the 3 tackles, 1 sack, 2 pass deflections, and of course the interception return for a touchdown. So a big day for the veteran from Weber State. Definitely a veteran, if nothing else, the cornerback there. We had some questions about the Bills cornerback group coming into the season after Micah Hyde departed, and they had a few other losses. What's your take on the Bills secondary after we've seen them now for 10 games?
The Bills secondary, we had a lot of questions about them, but here they are. I mean, obviously, they're still kind of molding. They're still kind of shaping themselves as a unit, but you have an 8-2 record for a reason. You're finding ways to get the job done nonetheless. So I've been very impressed with what I've been able to see from the Buffalo Bills thus far.
For sure, for sure. They've definitely played at a quality level. Now switching gears to Indianapolis, we saw an interesting game for Flacco as well. He turned the ball over 4 times. You don't like to see that. 26 of 35, 272 yards, did have the 2 touchdowns, 4 sacks allowed. So a mid-tier performance from the offensive line. But when it comes to the 4 turnovers, I mean, you'd have to think that factored into the decision that the Colts have made after the game to go back to Anthony Richardson as their starting quarterback going forward, wouldn't you think?
Yeah, I would personally say, listen, the plan is Anthony Richardson. I mean, like, if not, then what other
Yeah,
plan? I mean, he's the plan. He's the guy. He's what they kind of put their chips on the table for. And Tad, while we sit here and we look at these numbers and we look at these stats and we evaluate them, and we talk about like the charts and the numbers and the flow of the game itself, like
hmm
all of that stuff is great. But one thing we're not taking into account for is emotional maturity and emotional development of a quarterback. And so with Anthony Richardson, it's like, yeah, you had that moment where he, took a couple of plays off because he said he was quote unquote tired. So, and obviously he had a lot to be desired, within his leadership extent, within his leadership role, So, um,
yeah,
to me, it's just like, okay, the Colts coaching staff, it's like, how can you coach up Anthony Richardson to develop into a leader, develop into a man? You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, they believe that he's man enough to go out there and be the starting quarterback. But it's just like they need to see it, and they clearly feel that he has what it takes to develop into that emotional maturity. I mean, yeah, I mean, let's just think about it for a second. You talk about guys like Jared Goff, even when Jared Goff played with the Rams, nine times. I mean, there were so many times where Jared Goff like kind of didn't really look like he knew what he was doing sometimes, and he just kind of looked very confused and looked very like there was just so many times where when Jared Goff was young where you know he definitely and now he's going out there and playing with the Lions and he looks just so composed and so confident. And I mean, Jared Goff just straight up looks like a beast, and it was even kind of the same thing with Josh Allen, So, we talk
yeah.
about the stats, we kind of talk about the numbers, but one thing that we need to take into account for is like emotional and mental development of these guys and the mental maturity of Anthony Richardson. And that's going to play a factor going forward now.
Yes, that is certainly going to play a factor. And I'd say at this point, it's on Anthony Richardson to take the leadership, to take the initiative to prove that the Colts are making the right decision, bringing him back, giving him a second chance. And like you said, he needs to show his both his emotional intelligence. He needs to show leadership qualities. And only Anthony Richardson can decide if he's willing and able to do that. And at this point, it's time for him to make that decision, and we'll see
He
how things
definitely
go.
should not take his second chance that he got in the NFL for granted.
Certainly, and I think if things work out for the best for him, I think this benching could be one of the best things to ever happen to him. He can, well, if he makes it. I mean, it'll go however Anthony Richardson makes it go. I mean, it's on him to decide what he wants to do next. So with that being said, that's the state of the Colts quarterback room. But it was a big game for Jonathan Taylor. He had 114 yards on 21 carries. He did what he could to keep this offense in the game. Also, 2 catches for 8 yards. So, like I said, he did what he could. He had 21 of the 22 carries they had as a team. So he shouldered the load for the backfield.
Yes.
We had a touchdown.
And I would personally rate Jonathan Taylor a top 5 running back in the NFL.
Yeah, definitely. He can be a top tier running back, certainly. Had some touchdowns, a touchdown catch for Alec Pierce, a touchdown catch for Tyler Goodson. Adonai Mitchell had a solid showing for the rookie receiver. 6 catches for 70 yards for the youngster from the University of Texas, the second round pick. What's your take on the season Mitchell's having to open up his career?
Yeah, Adonai Mitchell, when I look at a guy like him, the rookie out of Texas, 18 catches, 211 yards, hasn't gotten his first touchdown yet, but he'll get his first touchdown eventually.
Yeah. He certainly will. And I think he's a guy.
It doesn't help that the quarterback situation's been a little rocky for him, but yeah.
Certainly. I think he certainly has a lot of potential, and I think we could continue to see him grow. But yeah, looking at the Colts, the Colts defense, excuse me there. Nick Cross had a solid game with his 12 tackles, 7 being solo and 1 tackler for loss, the third-year player out of the University of Maryland. Solid showing there. The veteran DeForest Buckner, 8 tackles. Kwity Paye had a sack and another quarterback hit, so solid showing there. But yeah, the Colts defense, I mean, they were up against a very difficult offense to guard, to cover, to tackle. So they had their work cut out for them. And the Bills, they executed their plays, and the Colts had a hard time shutting them down.
You certainly said that a lot nicer than what I was going to say it as. I mean, I was going to say it as a very, a lot to be desired. I mean, yeah, like you have some very solid stat lines there from some defensive players, but as a unit overall, they didn't do what they needed to do to win.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
but to the bet, you gave them the free benefit of the doubt already, going up against the very feisty Bills offense. So.
Yeah, and I mean, you certainly would like to see the Colts defense hold up a little bit better, certainly. But again, like the Bills, they can make a lot of defenses look quite foolish with what they can do. We've seen what the Bills can do, and the Colts, I mean, they'll just continue to grow. And we'll see what we get from the Colts.
To me, it's like overall, the Colts overall as a franchise are still very young. I mean, you got like just so many young pieces on the defensive side, the offensive side. Like, I mean, when we talk about seasoned veterans, there's really none that really pop out on the Colts. You know what I mean? Like Josh Allen, I mean, I feel like, he's definitely a veteran, Josh Allen. I don't know about a seasoned vet, but like, I guess you could say Joe Flacco, of course, is a seasoned vet. Sure. Like, that's not like.
But he's like a fill-in.
Right, exactly. And I mean,
like we're talking about like core pieces that are going to be relevant in the future.
Like to me, the Colts are doing moves and making things to where they can develop themselves into being a prolific AFC playoff team down the road. But it's just like they're young and they're developing as a team overall still. They're a young developing team. They're not even necessarily a rebuilding team, quote unquote. I mean, they still kind of are, but they really are more so to me like they're definitely a step ahead of like the Titans and the Patriots for sure. Like this is a younger developing team.
Like they at least have a plan. Like you can see what the Colts are trying to do. They might not be doing everything perfectly, but they have a plan. Like, and perhaps you could say like the Patriots have a semblance of a plan, and the Titans. I mean, I question if the Titans even have a concept of a plan. But to be quite mild, but the Colts, you can see what the Colts want to do, and we'll see if it works out or not. Sometimes plans don't work, but they at least have a plan.
Yeah, absolutely. So there you have it. Bills and Colts. Bills win 30-20. Next week, the Indianapolis Colts will go on the road to take on the New York Jets. And then the Buffalo Bills, boy, oh boy. A very feisty AFC rivalry, the Chiefs and Bills. And yeah, Tad, where would you rank Chiefs Bills amongst AFC rivalries?
I mean, I think if you look all time, I mean, it's probably not all that high all time. But if you look at like just the past 5 years, then it's definitely one of the most hype rivalries in the league. Obviously, we know what happens when Mahomes and Allen play in the playoffs. They provide some entertainment that's very high level football, very high level entertainment. Offenses making plays, defense trying to just scramble for their lives against these two high powered offenses. It's going to be a blast.
Absolutely. In Buffalo, nonetheless. Buffalo is going to be certainly looking to get a lot of revenge for what happened at Buffalo last year. So, if there's any realistic chance for Kansas City to get their first loss, and I wouldn't mind seeing it. You know, I would love to see Buffalo get that win at home. So, yeah, Bills 30-20. Be sure to like, subscribe, and follow all season long. This is the Gridiron Glory.